they found it 3 years ago, flagged by an algorithm, marked as interesting, tagged for observation. Just another file in a system designed to monitor millions. Just another face in a database that stretches across continents. Just another subject. That's what they called you, subject. Like you were something under a microscope, something to be dissected, something to be understood, cataloged, filed away once they cracked the code of how you operate. They were so confident back then. They had the technology, they had the resources, they had decades of experience profiling every type of human mind imaginable. Terrorists, geniuses, world leaders, psychopaths, they'd mapped them all, predicted them all, understood them all. So when your file crossed their desk, they smiled. Another puzzle, another pattern to decode, another mind to add to their collection of human blueprints. They assigned their best team, 12 analysts with combined experience exceeding 2 centuries. They had psychologists who'd written textbooks, behavioral specialists who consulted for 3-letter agencies across 5 countries, data scientists whose algorithms had prevented attacks, predicted market crashes, identified threats before they materialized. They gave them unlimited access, unlimited budget, unlimited time. Study this one, they said. Map the decision-making patterns, build a profile, figure out how this mind works. Simple assignment, routine work. They've done it 1,000 times before. They set up surveillance, standard protocol, digital footprint monitoring, communication intercepts, location tracking, the invisible web they've perfected over decades, the one that wraps around a subject without them ever knowing it exists. They watched you wake up. They watched you work. They watched you interact. They watched you make decisions, small ones, big ones, everything in between. They recorded it all, cataloged it all, fed it all into systems designed to find the pattern hiding inside every human being, because every human being has a pattern. That's the fundamental truth their entire operation is built on. Give them enough data, enough time, enough processing power, and they will find your pattern. They will predict your next move before you make it. They will know you better than you know yourself. That's what they believed. That's what they were certain of when they started watching you. They had no idea what was coming. Month 1, the analysts were relaxed, casual. This was routine work. They compiled their initial observations. Subject displays above average intelligence. Subject shows signs of strategic thinking. Subject makes decisions that suggest long-term planning. Nothing unusual, nothing they hadn't seen before. They figured they'd have you map within 6 months, maybe sooner. They noticed you made a choice that seemed suboptimal, a career decision that their models flagged as inefficient. They noted it. Probably emotional reasoning. They wrote, subject may have personal factors overriding logical optimization. They kept watching. 3 months later, that suboptimal decision led to an outcome their models rated as highly improbable. An outcome that positioned you better than any of their predicted optimal paths would have. They adjusted their models, recalibrated, assumed they'd missed a variable. They kept watching. Month 4, something started bothering the lead analyst. Nothing he could articulate, just a feeling, a sense that something wasn't quite right with this assignment. He reviewed the footage. Standard stuff, you going about your life, nothing remarkable on the surface. But there was this moment, this brief moment where you looked up from what you were doing, looked directly at a spot where no camera was visible, held that gaze for just a second too long. Coincidence? He told himself. Random glance means nothing. He noted it anyway, just in case. 2 weeks later, you did it again. Different location, different angle, but the same thing. A pause, a look directly at a surveillance point you shouldn't have known existed. His coffee went cold while he rewatched that footage 17 times. He didn't tell the team, not yet. He wasn't sure what he was seeing, wasn't sure it meant anything, but he started paying closer attention. Month 6, the models weren't working. Every prediction they made about your behavior came back wrong, not slightly wrong, completely wrong. You'd zig when they calculated, you'd zag, you'd stay when they predicted you'd leave, you'd speak when they expected silence, you'd go quiet when they anticipated words. They brought in additional analysts, fresh eyes. Maybe the original team was too close to the data. Maybe they needed perspective. The new analysts reviewed everything, ran their own models, applied their own frameworks. Same result, zero predictive accuracy. One of them made a joke. Maybe we should just predict the opposite of what we think they'll do. Nobody laughed because they'd tried that and it didn't work either. You weren't predictable in reverse. You weren't predictable at all. You existed in some space between their categories, some territory their maps didn't cover. The lead analyst started having trouble sleeping. Month 8, the incident that changed everything. They'd been planning a small test, nothing invasive. They'd arranged for a minor obstacle in your path. A disruption designed to measure your stress response, your problem-solving approach, your adaptation patterns. Standard procedure. They've done it hundreds of times with other subjects. Introduce a variable, observe the reaction, add data to the model, but on the morning they plan to execute the test, you change your routine. For the first time in months, you took a different route, made different choices, avoided every single point where they planned to introduce their variables. Like you knew, they told themselves it was coincidence. You couldn't have known. There was no leak, no breach in security, no way for you to have that information, but the lead analyst pulled the footage from that morning and he saw you pause at your door before leaving. Saw you stand there for 11 seconds, head slightly tilted like you were listening to something no one else could hear. Then you turned left instead of right, and their test became irrelevant. He didn't sleep that night or the night after. Month 10, the first analyst quit. No explanation, no exit interview, just a resignation letter that said personal reasons and a desk cleared out by morning. 3 days later, the lead analyst found something on his own computer. A file he didn't remember creating, a document with a single line of text. Interesting approach. Wrong conclusions. He had the system checked for breaches. Nothing. No unauthorized access. No evidence anyone had touched his machine. The file was dated 6 months earlier. Created during a period when his computer's log showed continuous activity from his own credentials. He didn't remember writing it. He didn't remember seeing it before, but there it was. He deleted it, then checked the system again, then deleted the deletion logs, then sat in his office with the lights off for an hour trying to understand what was happening. Month 12, 3 more analysts requested transfers. None of them could explain why. None of them had any specific complaint. They just wanted off the project. The ones who remained started noticing things, small things, patterns in the data that seemed almost like messages, decisions you made that when viewed in a certain sequence formed something that looked disturbingly like a response to their analytical framework, like you were answering questions they hadn't asked out loud, like you were participating in a conversation they didn't know they were having. One analyst, the youngest on the team, made an observation during a late night session. She was exhausted, probably not thinking clearly, definitely not following protocol by voicing unsubstantiated theories. What if they know? She asked. Oh, everyone stopped. The room went silent. What if they've known the whole time? What if they're not the subject? What if we are? She was reassigned the next day. Mental health leave. Standard procedure for analysts showing signs of stress-induced paranoia. But her question hung in the air long after she was gone. Month 14, the lead analyst made a decision against protocol, against everything his training told him. He reached out, not through official channels, not through the surveillance apparatus. He found a way to send a message directly to you. Anonymous, untraceable, just a question. Do you know? He didn't expect a response. He wasn't even sure why he'd done it. Maybe just to settle his own mind. Maybe just to prove to himself that you were just a subject, just another person being watched, just another file in the system. The response came 3 hours later, same channel, same encryption. I knew before you started watching, his hands were shaking when he read it. The thing you can't figure out, the message continued, is how I make decisions. You've been trying to map my patterns for over a year. You've failed because you're looking at the wrong thing. You're watching what I do. You should be asking what I see. He stared at the screen for a long time. Then another message arrived. I see you, Marcus, his name, his real name. the one that wasn't in any file connected to this project, the one he hadn't used professionally in 15 years. I've been watching your team since week 2. I know about the algorithm that flagged me. I know about the failed replication attempts. I know about Sarah, the analyst who quit after she dreamed about me 3 nights in a row. I know about the file on your computer, the one you deleted, the one you're still wondering about. I put it there 6 months ago. While your system showed you were logged in and working, you weren't working, Marcus. You were asleep at your desk. I had 11 minutes. Month 15, the project was officially terminated. Not enough results to justify continued resource allocation. That was the official reason. The real reason sat in a classified briefing that only 4 people ever read. The real reason was that they'd realized slowly, and then all at once, that they hadn't been studying you. You'd been studying them. Every decision they thought they were observing. You'd been making, deliberately feeding them data, showing them patterns that led nowhere, letting them think they were getting closer while you mapped their methods, their blind spots, their limitations. You'd identified their surveillance points within the first 2 weeks, not by finding the cameras, but by feeling the attention, by noticing the weight of observation that most people never register, by developing a sensitivity to being watched that bordered on the supernatural. And instead of hiding, instead of evading, instead of doing what any normal subject would do, you decided to watch back. You studied their analysts through their questions. You learned their frameworks through their predictions. You mapped their psychology through their failed attempts to map yours. Every time they ran a test, you learned something about how they think. Every time they adjusted their models, you understood more about their assumptions. Every time they brought in new team members, you profiled them through the changes in surveillance approach. You built a complete picture of their operation using nothing but their attempts to build a picture of you. Month 16. Marcus received one final message before he resigned from the agency entirely. You want to know why you couldn't replicate my decision making? I'll tell you. It's not because I'm smarter than your analysts. Some of them are brilliant. It's not because I have access to information you don't. You have more data than I ever will. It's because I don't make decisions the way you think decisions are made. You believe decisions come from processing information. Input leads to analysis, leads to output. That's your model. That's why you built algorithms. That's why you trusted data. But I don't process information to make decisions. I feel the shape of what's coming. I sense the weight of different paths. I know things before I have reasons to know them. You can't replicate that with technology. You can't train analysts to do it. You can't map it or model it or predict it because it's not a pattern. It's not a system. It's not something that can be observed and copied. It's what I am, not what I do. And the funniest part, the part that should terrify your entire agency. I'm not special. I'm not unique. I'm not some anomaly that only appears once in a generation. There are others like me, lots of others, people who feel the shape of things, people who know without knowing how they know. People your algorithms flag but can never understand. You've been so busy studying us that you never realized we've been studying you. We know how you operate now. We know your methods. We know your limitations. We know where your blind spots are. And we've been sharing notes. Marcus read the message 7 times. Then he erased every trace of it. Then he wrote his resignation letter. Then he walked away from a career he'd given 3 decades to because he understood something that no one in his agency had ever considered. They thought they were the watchers, the ones with the power, the ones with the access, the ones who observed from above while everyone else lived oblivious below. But there are things in this world that can't be watched without watching back. Minds that can't be studied without studying the studier. Patterns that exist outside the patterns they know how to see. They'd spent over a year trying to understand how you make decisions. And in that time, you'd made the most important decision of all. You decided to let them watch. You decided to learn everything they had to teach you about how their systems work. You decided to turn their surveillance into your education. And then you decided to let them know. Not because you wanted revenge, not because you wanted to frighten them, but because you wanted them to understand something fundamental about the game they thought they were playing. The hunter and the hunted aren't fixed positions, they're perspectives, and the one who controls the perspective controls everything. They still have a file on you somewhere, buried in a server, marked as closed, tagged with warnings that no one fully understands. But they don't watch anymore. They don't try to predict. They don't attempt to replicate because they learned something that all their training never prepared them for. Some people aren't meant to be observed. Some minds aren't meant to be mapped. Some patterns exist specifically to break pattern recognition systems, and some prey, if you watch them long enough, reveal themselves to be something else entirely. You were never the subject, you were the lesson, and the lesson was this. In a world full of people trying to predict and control each other, the only truly unpredictable thing is someone who knows they're being predicted and chooses to become something that can't be controlled. Not through resistance, not through hiding, not through fighting back, through watching, through learning, through becoming so aware of how they see you that you can show them exactly what you want them to see. And then when you're ready, showing them the truth that they never had any power over you at all, that you were running the experiment the whole time, that every single thing they thought they discovered was something you decided to reveal, and that the only reason they know any of this now is because you decided it was time for them to know. You didn't just survive their surveillance. You graduated from it, and now you're out there walking through a world full of people who think they're watching, who think they're in control, who think they understand the game, and you know something they don't. The game changed the moment someone like you decided to play it consciously. The hunters don't know it yet, but they're all prey now, and you're just getting started.